Look at that. That's what I'm talking about.
Hey pilots, welcome back to the channel. I'm excited to show you the new Durafly AUTO-G2 V2. So I haven't had any of the first two versions. This is the latest and greatest version. Got a bunch of upgrades. I'm pretty excited. I've never had an autogyro before, and this will be my first one. See how it comes. The packaging really is awesome. Some of the new features here. New vibration dampening head design. So that's pretty cool and more efficient. They've got some bigger, I think they revised the gear and the tires. New bush wheels, new rugged undercarriage design, new streamlined fairings on it. They got some carbon rods here on this stuff. Carbon reinforced push rods, increased head control and efficiency, smaller internal electronics. Cool scheme. For a battery, you're going to need a 3S 1300 20C, so nothing too big there. So let's go ahead and open it up. I haven't looked inside the box yet either. I don't know if the other versions do. I'm assuming they did too, but it's got a spool up mode, so there's a little motor in there that spools up the blades. Comes in a nice little package. So this is all that's in there. You can see the main unit. Here's the head. Got a bunch of bits. Here's some landing gears, a propeller. So those big foam tires, so they're big but they're light. Those will work great on all sorts of terrain. Got your landing gear. It's all welded together. Propeller. It's got painted tips. Got a cool center hub on it. Looks good. Here's the blades and stuff. Interesting looking design. Two-piece. Pretty neat. Got the horizontal. Vertical on the rudder. Quick setup guide. It's probably, I'm guessing, the tail wheel here. Some other little parts. Looks like there's your nose cone spinner, stuff like that. That looks like everything in the box. So you got a hatch here. Speed control and stuff I can see is in there. Motor on the front, little hatch on the bottom here so you can get to the servos for the tail. Landing gear will go in here. Great, looks cool. I like this little fairing. Alright, let me get everything out of the package and then we'll come back with the build. Alright guys, here's everything out of the package. So took me a second to figure out what this was, but this is the pilot. So you can glue that onto there. You can paint the little, it's got kind of, if you guys can see, it's got kind of a visor on it. So you paint that black. That'll give you that. So first thing, we should get it on its landing gear. So the tail wheel, just put some glue on this, poke it in here, and then that'll sit on its gear. And then the main landing gear will go in. This goes way up in there. So what you got to do first is you got to pull the wires for the motor out. If I can get them here. Pull them out the front here. You don't have to pull them all the way out. I'm just doing this more so for you guys to show you, because the landing gear will go up through that hole where they come through. So this will go way up in there now that that spot is clear. And then this back piece will go in here with the screws. So it takes a little force to push it down in there. Alright, so we're in the process of putting the landing gear on. So putting the front part in here took a little bit of effort. What I found really easy was to grab the landing gear and kind of pinch it together. That made it narrow enough to kind of force down in there, and I got that in. I haven't put the straps on yet, just kind of putting the tires on. So the tires don't seem like they're going to go on, but they kind of thread on, because the section on the outside where the what would you say, like the wheel nut would go there, it's just coming through, just getting through on this one. So the threaded portion seems to be bigger than the diameter of the wire, so you got to thread them on. But they'll go on. Then you got your their little black, I'm not even sure how to show that, little tiny, call it a lug nut. Then that's going to screw on there, and that's what's going to secure these on. Then your rear tail wheel deal, again, that's just going to go in there with some glue, and that's going to get her sitting on its wheels. So I'm going to put a little dab of glue on this and poke that in there. I'm just going to use a little bit of simple CA. Make sure we don't get any on that stuff. Piece of cake. Kind of make sure it's straight up and down. Pretty close, looks good. Okay, then like I said, we're going to thread these on to hold the wheels on. One on each side. Alright, landing gear is completed. Here's how that looks. And obviously one of these is going to hook to that. The other one will go to the rudder. Trucking right along here. So next, we're going to be putting on the horizontal. So on the bottom of that, it has, you can see those clamps. So we're going to, probably should have put that on first in hindsight, now that this is glued on. So we're going to take the clamps loose, open them up, put them on there, and put the bolts back through. Alright, so I did get it on there. Took the bolts out, just kind of pried it apart and slid it across here. This was the narrowest part to go across that tail wheel there. So just slid it on there, put the bolts through. I put the elevator linkage on, and it may not be in the right spot quite yet. These servos aren't squared up, but you can kind of figure out where this will slide right. You loosen those and you'll be able to find your happy place. And so I took the one of these on this side that does not run up here. This one I want to hook to the rudder so you never lose rudder, just in case something comes loose. So I took the shorter piece, hooked it to there. I put a little bit of a kink in it because this one's got to go up, that one's got to go down so that nothing's rubbing. So just to kind of alleviate stress. But get those tightened up and kind of got those in place. So the next thing to do will be the horizontal, or sorry, will be the vertical and the rudder. Now that is going to glue in place. I'm going to double check these screws, make sure they're tight. I'm going to put some glue on this and glue it into here. And then that will be complete. And we'll hook up the rudder linkage. I'm going to put a little bend in here so it goes up. It's not rubbing, doesn't have any pressure on it. And then that'll be connected and done as well. There is a little indentation on this that this piece here will fit into. So not a problem. Let that dry, and that is on. So now I can go ahead and hook up my rudder linkage. Here is the completed tail. Now I went one hole in from the outside on those. once we get to checking throws, we'll see if that's enough or not. You can see how I kind of bent the rods to go to where they need to go. So if you have any questions, put them down below. I'll answer as best I can. If I can move these servos by hand, yep. A little bit. But we'll check the throws later. So next on the docket would be probably putting your receiver and hooking up that ESC that we disconnected earlier. So we're going to feed those wires back through. The ESC will be in here. Right here. .20 amp ESC Durafly. So we'll poke those wires out through the front, hook it up, and get everything tucked back in as it should. So it was super easy to just tuck the ESC through from the inside. Now we'll hook these up. You'll notice they're not color coded on here, guys. So for those that don't know brushless motors, you hook all three up. It doesn't matter which way. Once you go to run it and your propeller, if it's going the wrong way, you just reverse two of these. That's it. You can't short circuit these guys. That's how they work. It's pretty simple. So I'm just going to hook them up, and if it's not right, then later we'll swap a couple around. Alright, so I put my little AR620 because you need 5 channels because you got to have the spool up for this. But anyways, the receiver or the ESC was plugged in correct the first time. I can see on here it's got to spin counterclockwise. My throttle kill off. It does that. That's good. So I hooked up everything else. I had to reverse the gear switch is what I used for the spool up. And I had to reverse that. I had to reverse the elevator and the rudder just for them to work right with my IX20. But other than that, we're good to go. So I tucked the ESC back in there, go a little bit further yet, so that the battery connection is easy to reach out the top. And I'll get these wires tucked down in there, and then we'll get the head on it and the propeller. So I whipped out my Sharpie and painted the little helmet dude. So when this is on here, I'm going to just go ahead and glue him on there like there's a pilot. But anyway, so the propeller, so the nut that's on there, you want to spin that all the way back. Let me see if I can zoom you guys in here. So that nut goes all the way back. That's what drives. It's got kind of a hex in there to fit in there. Then this here will thread on. Remember, it's always a good idea to balance your propellers. I haven't done that yet. Just putting this together for you to show you guys. Get that nice and tight. So that's that. Now for the head. You've got these 3 blades. The screws are in here right now, so you'll take them out, bolt these blades on. They've already got one on, so you know which way they go. You can't screw that up. So we're going to put all 3 blades on and put the head on the unit. So you want to hold your fingers on the bottom so that the nuts don't fall out. This would be a good time to have a helper. Ooh. So there's a little wedge block on there. You don't want to lose that either. Feels like something on the bottom as well. Yeah, there's a block on the bottom too. Try to get all these screws lined up. There we go. So pay attention to how it comes apart when you guys do that. There we go. Felt that one go through. feel that one going through. Okay, good. Snug that up. Double check these for fun. Here you can hopefully see, so there's an angled block here on the top and bottom that gives you your pitch angle, I guess you'd say. And repeat the process for the third and final blade. Okay, final one. Double check them all. Just 'cause. Looks good. Now you can put this cap on that holds everything in place. Boom. Alright, so something else, don't forget to balance your propeller. Don't forget to balance your main rotor. So what I did is I've got these balancers. This worked for the propeller. I couldn't find a rod to balance this guy here. I didn't have something the right size. So what I did is I just put it on here, left the top nut off, and held this thing sideways. You don't want the rotors to fall off, but hold it perfectly sideways and get it to where you can spin it in every direction, any direction, and let go, and it'll stay there. That's the goal. You know, obviously I'm not doing it here, but you want to hold it on its side and do that. And I got that balance to where everywhere that I put the blades, it didn't matter what, they wouldn't turn. So not as good as one of these, but if that's all you got, I think that's going to cut it. It's better than it was. So what I did, the way I balance propellers, I put tape on the back, then you don't see it. Same deal here. Use some electrical tape, put pieces on. Took a little piece here and here because this one other blade was heavier than the rest. So now she's ready to maiden. I did put a 1300 3S in there. CG is good. Got Studley on there. You can see kind of how I tucked everything in there. The ESC goes down on the bottom. The battery will go in this little tray here. And the receiver I just kind of poked right back there. Build is complete. Now CG, once I get my battery, I don't have my battery here, but the CG is going to be right on the mast, obviously, once you put your battery in there. And I have not glued my sweet pilot in place yet. So do that. Check your throws. Everything is in this quick setup guide here. Gives you the rundown on everything you need to do. But very simple build. I cannot wait to fly this. This coming weekend, I'm sure we'll get this baby in the sky and have a good time. So let me get everything else set up here and we'll be back for a little closing. Alright guys, here she is completed. Other than setting the CG, I don't have my correct size battery out here, but got the little dude glued on. You'll see when we get out the field how cool that is. It's on there pretty good. But everything is good. Throws are set. Yeah, everything by the manual here. So it gives you an example of like rates and expo and stuff like that. So no surprises. So if you have any questions, leave them down below. If you're interested in one, check out the links down below. And next time you see this, we'll be at the field going for the maiden. So I'm pretty stoked to see how this goes. So appreciate you guys watching this and making it to this point in the video, and we'll see you at the field.